Nephew grabbed my kid's gift, mine, screamed. Family laughed. Dad chided, "Don't make a scene. It's just an iPhone," dismissing our hurt. A guest, seeing my quiet rage, met my gaze. She whispered, "Some wrongs just need to be righted." That night, I took her car keys. Just a car. Her face drained white. You know that moment when something just snaps inside you? When the world throws so much at you, and you keep catching it, keep smiling, keep trying to do the right thing, and then someone you love, someone who should have your back, stomps all over the one thing that truly matters. That's where I found myself utterly broken, but also utterly transformed. The morning of Noah's 10th birthday dawned with a fragile kind of magic. Balloons bobbing like cheerful dreams against the living room ceiling, tied with silver ribbons that caught the early sunlight filtering through the windows, painting everything in gold. I'd spent weeks, meticulously planning every detail, from the custom basketball court cake to the elaborate entertainment setup in the backyard. My son, my sweet Noah, deserved this celebration more than anyone after the year he'd endured, watching his father, Mark, just walk out on us. No explanation, no backward glance. Just gone. Noah came downstairs, rubbing sleep from his eyes, and froze mid-step when he saw the decorations. His face transformed into pure, unadulterated joy. The kind that makes every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every ounce of worry, melt away into absolute worth. He practically flew to me, wrapping his thin arms around my waist. "Mom, this is amazing," he whispered, his voice muffled against my shoulder. I ruffled his hair, my chest swelling with a familiar mix of pride and fierce protectiveness. "You haven't seen anything yet, birthday boy. Go get dressed. Guests arrive at noon." My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. A text from my sister, Chloe, running late. Traffic be there by 12:30. Of course. Chloe operated on her own timeline, expecting the world to accommodate her. I'd known this pattern for 37 years of sharing DNA. What really gnawed at me, though, was knowing she'd bring my 15-year-old nephew, Caleb, who'd recently developed a deeply concerning habit of just taking whatever caught his eye. The doorbell chimed precisely at noon. My best friend, Sarah, arrived first, a brightly wrapped present in her arms and that wonderfully encouraging smile on her face. She knew everything: the bitter divorce, the crushing financial strain, every single sleepless night I'd spent worrying how to give Noah a childhood that still felt stable, still felt happy. "Where's the birthday king?" Sarah called out, placing her gift on the designated table I'd arranged near the fireplace. Noah appeared, freshly dressed in the new shirt I'd bought him for today, beaming. Other guests trickled in steadily: neighbors, school friends, a few coworkers who'd watched Noah grow up through photos on my desk. Each person added another colorful box to the growing pile, and I watched Noah's eyes widen with every addition, his excitement palpable. My parents arrived at 1:15. My mom embraced me warmly, but Dad barely made eye contact before heading straight for the refreshment table. Our relationship had been strained ever since the divorce, especially after he'd unequivocally taken Mark's side in those early, bitter months. He'd called me unreasonable, dramatic, unwilling to compromise. Never mind that his beloved son-in-law had emptied our joint account before even filing the papers. Chloe finally swept through the door at 12:45, her designer sunglasses perched on perfectly styled blonde hair. My nephew Caleb slouched behind her, already looking bored, despite having just arrived. He wore expensive sneakers that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "Sorry we're late." Chloe sang out, not sounding sorry at all. She thrust a small gift bag toward the present table without really looking at it. Traffic was absolutely horrendous. Caleb immediately gravitated toward the snack table, piling his plate high with the food I'd carefully arranged. He didn't bother to greet Noah or acknowledge the celebration. Typical teenager behavior, maybe, but something about his entitled air just set my teeth on edge. The party progressed smoothly for the next hour. Kids played boisterously in the backyard while adults clustered in conversation groups throughout the house. I circulated constantly, refilling chip bowls and checking that everyone had drinks. Sarah intercepted me near the kitchen. You've outdone yourself, she whispered, her eyes warm. Noah looks happier than I've seen him in months. That's the goal, I replied, glancing through the window at my son, who was laughing with his friends during a relay race. He's been through enough darkness. Today gets to be pure light. How are you holding up? Sarah's concern was genuine, the kind that only comes from 15 years of unwavering friendship. I shrugged, feeling the familiar weight of single parenthood pressing down on my shoulders. Managing. The lawyer bills are finally done, at least, and I picked up extra shifts at work to cover today's expenses. Sarah squeezed my arm in silent support before someone called her name from the other room. Cake time arrived, and I gathered everyone into the dining room. Noah's face glowed in the flickering light of 10 candles as we sang to him. He made his wish with closed eyes, then, with one mighty breath, blew out every single flame. The room erupted in applause. Present time, one of his friends shouted, and the energy in the room shifted to pure anticipation. I'd arranged the gifts by size, planning to have Noah open the smaller items first, building toward the larger presents. He settled onto the floor, surrounded by colorful wrapping paper and eager faces. Each gift received genuine thanks and excitement: a skateboard deck from Sarah, art supplies from our neighbor, Mrs. Albright, video games from school friends. The pile dwindled until only 3 boxes remained. 2 were medium-sized presents from relatives. The third was mine, wrapped in blue paper with silver stars. I'd saved for months to afford the iPhone inside, working double shifts, skipping lunches, just to make the numbers work. Noah had never asked for anything extravagant, never demanded the same expensive electronics his classmates carried. But I'd seen how his face fell when other kids pulled out their phones to share videos or take photos. This gift, I believed, would erase that feeling. It would make him feel included, valued, truly seen. Open Grandma and Grandpa's next, Mom suggested, pushing their present forward. Noah carefully unwrapped the board game, thanking them with practiced politeness. My parents beamed, though I noticed Dad's attention kept drifting toward his own phone. Now mine, Chloe announced, though Caleb had actually selected the gift, a generic video game Noah already owned. My son graciously pretended to be thrilled, demonstrating far better manners than his older cousin had shown all afternoon. Only my present remained. Noah reached for the blue wrapping paper, and I felt my heart accelerate with a mixture of anticipation and pure, maternal love. This moment represented months of sacrifice, every extra hour worked, every small luxury I denied myself. Suddenly, Caleb moved from his position against the wall. He crossed the room in 3 long strides, snatched the present from Noah's hands, and tore into the wrapping paper himself. "Caleb, what are you doing?" The words left my mouth sharply, cutting through the party noise. My nephew ignored me completely, shredding paper and tossing the box lid aside. He pulled out the iPhone, still sealed in its pristine packaging, and held it above his head like a trophy. "Mine now," Caleb shouted, his voice carrying triumph and entitlement in equal measure. The room fell into an uncomfortable, suffocating silence. Noah sat frozen on the floor, his hands still outstretched toward where his present had been just seconds before. I watched my son's face crumple, that pure joy dissolving into confusion and then, devastating hurt. Then Chloe laughed. The sound broke the tension like shattering glass, and suddenly, other people were chuckling too. Nervous laughter. Uncertain laughter. The kind that happens when nobody knows quite how to respond to truly shocking behavior. "Caleb, give that back right now," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "That's Noah's birthday present." "Oh, come on," Chloe waved her hand dismissively. "He's just being a silly teenager. Boys will be boys, right? Silly? That's not silly. That's theft." I moved toward Caleb, but he stepped backward, clutching the phone against his chest. Dad finally looked up from his own device. Instead of supporting me, instead of defending his own grandson, he fixed me with an irritated expression. "Don't make a scene," he said flatly. "It's just an iPhone." The words hit me like a physical blow. Just an iPhone. Just months of sacrifice and planning and hoping to give my son something special. Just the only gift I could offer after his father abandoned him. After I'd stretched every dollar until it screamed. "It's Noah's gift," I repeated, hearing my voice crack slightly. "Caleb needs to give it back." "He can share it," Chloe suggested, as if sharing made any sense. "Or you can get Noah something else." "You're being dramatic." I looked around the room, searching for support from someone, anyone. Sarah met my eyes with obvious sympathy, but seemed uncertain how to intervene. Mom looked deeply uncomfortable but said nothing. Other guests suddenly found the floor fascinating. Noah remained on the ground, silent tears now sliding down his cheeks. He wasn't making any sound, wasn't throwing a tantrum or demanding his present back. He just cried quietly, shoulders shaking, while his older cousin paraded around with a gift that represented everything I'd worked to provide. Something crystallized in that moment. I walked over to my son and knelt beside him, pulling him into a tight hug. His small body trembled against mine. "Sure," I said loudly, the single word carrying more meaning than my family could possibly understand. Noah looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I smoothed his hair back from his forehead and forced a smile. "We'll handle this later," I whispered to him. "I promise." The party limped along for another hour, but the joy had completely evaporated. Kids played half-heartedly in the backyard while adults made uncomfortable small talk. Caleb kept the iPhone, showing it off to other teenagers, completely ignoring Noah. Chloe acted as though nothing unusual had happened, chatting about her upcoming vacation to Europe. Dad approached me while I was cleaning up paper plates. "You're making this into a bigger deal than necessary," he said quietly. "Family is supposed to forgive and move on. Family is also supposed to respect boundaries and not steal from children," I replied, my tone icy. "You're holding grudges. That's why Mark left. You could never let anything go." The accusation stunned me, precisely because it was so unfair. Mark had left because he'd found someone younger, someone without the responsibility of a child, someone who didn't challenge his desire to spend money we didn't have on toys he didn't need. Dad knew the truth, but chose to rewrite history anyway. I didn't respond. Instead, I walked away and continued gathering trash, counting down the minutes until everyone would leave and I could drop the pretense that everything was fine. Guests departed gradually. Sarah hugged me fiercely before she left, whispering that she'd call tomorrow to check on me. Neighbors offered sympathetic smiles. School friends and their parents made polite excuses about early bedtimes. My family lingered longest. Chloe collected her purse while Caleb pocketed Noah's iPhone without any apparent guilt or awareness of wrongdoing. My parents gathered their belongings slowly, and I wondered if they expected some kind of apology from me. "Thanks for coming," I said to Chloe, my voice carefully neutral. "It was a lovely party," she responded. "We should do dinner soon." "I'll text you." She wouldn't text me. We both knew it. Chloe only reached out when she needed something. Babysitting for Caleb, a loan she'd never repay, someone to listen to her complaints about problems that seemed trivial compared to actual hardship. They finally left around 6 o'clock in the evening. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, feeling exhaustion seep into my bones. Noah had retreated to his room shortly after the present incident, and the house now felt cavernous and empty despite the lingering birthday decorations. I climbed the stairs and knocked softly on his bedroom door. "Noah, can I come in?" A muffled "okay" reached me through the wood. I pushed the door open to find him sitting on his bed, staring at his hands. The new skateboard deck leaned against his desk. The art supplies sat unopened on his dresser. Every gift except the one he truly wanted. "I'm sorry about what happened today," I said, sitting beside him on the bed. "That wasn't fair to you." "Why did Caleb do that?" Noah's voice was small, confused. "Doesn't he have his own phone?" "He does." I pulled my son close, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "He has several, actually, all the latest models." "Then why did he take mine?" How could I explain entitlement to a 10-year-old? How could I make him understand that some people take things simply because they can, because they've never learned the word no or experienced real consequences? "Some people don't think about how their actions affect others," I said carefully. "And sometimes family members let them get away with bad behavior instead of correcting it." Like Grandpa, Noah looked up at me, his eyes still wet. "He said you were making a scene." The observation cut deep. My own father had chosen to criticize me rather than defend his grandson. Had prioritized avoiding conflict over protecting a child's feelings. Grandpa made a mistake, I said, choosing my words precisely. Sometimes adults get things wrong. Even adults, we expect to get them right. Are you going to get my phone back? The question hung in the air between us. I thought about confronting Chloe, about demanding she make Caleb return what he'd stolen. I imagined the arguments, the accusations of overreacting, the family pressure to keep the peace by letting the injustice stand. I'm going to handle it, I told Noah, making a decision that crystallized fully only as I spoke the words. But you have to trust me that this might take a day or two. Can you do that? He nodded against my shoulder, and I felt fresh determination settle into my chest. This wasn't just about a phone anymore. This was about teaching my son that actions had consequences, that theft didn't get rewarded, that standing up for yourself mattered, even when other people called you dramatic. We ordered pizza for dinner, just the two of us, and watched one of Noah's favorite movies. He fell asleep on the couch around 9, and I carried him to bed, tucking blankets around him gently. Back downstairs, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat at the kitchen table, formulating my plan. Chloe drove a beautiful silver sedan, one of those mid-level luxury models that screamed, "I have money to spend on appearances." She'd bought it 2 years ago, after complaining that her old car didn't reflect her status properly. The monthly payment was higher than my rent, a fact she mentioned frequently while simultaneously claiming to be financially stressed. What Chloe forgot, or perhaps simply didn't care about, was that I co-signed the loan. She'd come to me desperate, explaining that her credit wasn't quite good enough to secure the financing alone. She promised to make every payment on time, swore she'd never miss a single one, assured me I'd never have to worry about being on the hook for her debt. For 2 years, she kept that promise. Payments arrived regularly, and I'd nearly forgotten about the loan entirely. But the paperwork sat in my file cabinet downstairs, my signature binding me legally to that vehicle. I finished my wine and retrieved the loan documents, spreading them across the table. The terms were clear. As co-signer, I had equal legal claim to the car. If Chloe defaulted, I'd be responsible for the debt. But the reverse was also true. I had rights to the collateral securing that loan. I pulled out my phone and composed a text to Chloe. "We need to talk about what happened today. Come by tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Bring Caleb and Noah's phone." Her response came almost immediately. "Can't tomorrow. Busy. Besides, you're overreacting. Let it go." "Perfect." I texted back. "Then I'll come to you." Address. No response. I already knew where she lived. A townhouse in one of those new developments where every building looked identical and homeowners association rules governed everything from mailbox colors to acceptable porch decorations. I set my alarm for early morning and went to bed, sleeping more soundly than I had in weeks. The next day dawned bright and clear. I made Noah pancakes for breakfast, drove him to his friend's house for a planned sleepover, and headed toward Chloe's neighborhood. The silver sedan sat in her driveway, freshly washed and gleaming in the morning sun. I parked on the street and walked up to her front door, ringing the bell twice. Chloe answered in yoga pants and an expression of annoyed confusion. "What are you doing here?" she asked, blocking the doorway. "I told you I was busy." "I need the car keys," I said calmly. "What?" "The keys to the sedan. I need them now." Chloe's face cycled through several expressions, confusion, disbelief, then mounting anger. "Have you lost your mind?" "That's my car. Actually, it's our car. Check the loan paperwork. I'm a cosigner, which gives me equal legal rights to the vehicle." I held up my hand, palm up. "Keys, please. You can't just take my car." Chloe's voice rose sharply. "That's insane." "Is it?" I kept my tone level, almost conversational. "Because yesterday, Caleb took Noah's phone right out of his hands. You laughed about it. Dad said I was making a scene over just an iPhone." "Well, this is just a car. Relax. Don't make a scene." Understanding finally dawned in her eyes, followed immediately by pure fury. "This is completely different." "How?" "Explain to me how it's different." Use small words, since apparently I'm too dramatic to understand complex concepts. I need that car for work, for groceries, for everything. Chloe's hands balled into fists at her sides. You can't strand me without transportation. No one needed that phone. He's been excluded from group chats with his friends, left out of social plans, made to feel different because he's the only kid without one. I worked extra shifts for months to afford it. You have 3 vehicles in your household, your sedan, Caleb's car, and your husband Brandon's truck. You won't be stranded. This is revenge. This is petty and vindictive. This is accountability, I corrected. Something Caleb apparently never experiences and desperately needs to learn. Chloe's husband, Brandon, appeared behind her, looking confused by the raised voices. What's going on? She wants to take our car. Chloe turned to him for support. Can you believe this? I addressed Brandon directly. I'm a co-signer on the loan. Check the paperwork if you doubt me. I have legal right to the vehicle and I'm exercising that right. If you'd like to discuss terms for its return, we can do that after Caleb returns Noah's phone and apologizes for stealing it. Brandon, don't let her do this. Chloe pleaded, grabbing her husband's arm. Brandon looked between us, clearly trying to assess the situation. If she's legally entitled to the car, I'm not sure what you want me to do. Thank you, I said to him. To Chloe, I repeated, keys. I'm calling Dad. Chloe pulled out her phone, jabbing at the screen with angry fingers. Go ahead, I said. Tell him you can't use your car because someone took it right out from under you. Tell him it's just a car, nothing to make a scene about. I'm sure he'll be very understanding. Chloe's jaw clenched so tight, I worried about her dental work. She disappeared into the house and returned moments later with the key fob, practically throwing it at me. Mine now, I said cheerfully, catching the keys midair. I headed toward the sedan, unlocking it with a satisfying beep. You can't do this. Chloe screamed from the doorway. I'll call the police. Please do, I called back, sliding into the driver's seat. They'll confirm I have legal right to this vehicle. We can all review the loan documents together. I've got copies in my purse if they need them. I started the engine, adjusted the mirrors, and pulled smoothly out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, I watched Chloe standing on her front lawn, her face purple with rage, phone pressed to her ear. My own phone rang almost immediately. Dad's number flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called 3 more times during the drive home, each call ignored. Finally, a text arrived. What have you done? Chloe is hysterical. Call me immediately. I responded. I took what was mine, just like Caleb took what was Noah's. She can have it back when Noah gets his phone back. Simple exchange. Dad called again. This time I answered, putting him on speaker. Have you completely lost your senses? His voice boomed through the car. You stole your sister's vehicle. I didn't steal anything. I'm a legal co-signer on the loan. The bank will confirm my rights to the car if you'd like to check. That's not the point, really. Because yesterday, the point was that I shouldn't make a scene over just an iPhone. Today, Chloe needs her car for important things. Both items have value, sentimental and practical. Both were taken without permission. The only difference is that I have the legal right to take this car, whereas Caleb had no right to take Noah's phone. You're being vindictive. This isn't like you. You're right. Usually, I'm a doormat who lets people walk all over me and my son because keeping the peace matters more than standing up for what's right. Maybe it's time that changed. Silence stretched across the line. Finally, Dad spoke again, his voice tight. Your mother wants to talk to you. A shuffling sound. Then Mom's worried voice. Sweetheart, Chloe is really upset. Can't you two work this out reasonably? Mom, I offered to work it out reasonably. I texted Chloe this morning asking her to bring Noah's phone and talk. She refused. I've been reasonable for years while Chloe takes advantage of my help, borrows money she never repays, and lets her son act however he wants without consequences. Yesterday, she let Caleb steal from her nephew at his birthday party, and you and Dad said nothing. So now we're doing it her way, taking without asking, keeping without permission. But honey, you're hurting your relationship with your sister. She hurt my relationship with my son. Which one matters more? Mom had no answer for that. I heard muffled conversation in the background. Then Dad came back on the line. "What do you want?" he demanded. "Name your terms." Caleb returns Noah's phone. Caleb apologizes to Noah. A real apology, not a forced mumble. Chloe apologizes for laughing about the theft and minimizing Noah's feelings. "You apologize for calling me dramatic and taking everyone else's side." After all that happens, Chloe gets her car back. "You can't blackmail family." "I'm not blackmailing anyone. I'm establishing boundaries." Caleb stole something that caused me months of sacrifice. Nobody defended Noah and nobody held Caleb accountable. So now I'm being the consequence. Chloe can have her car the moment Noah has his phone. Simple equation. I hung up before Dad could respond, my hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. Part of me couldn't believe what I'd done. Part of me felt powerful for the first time in years. The sedan handled beautifully as I drove home, smooth and responsive. I parked it in my garage, barely fitting, but managing to close the door completely. Then I went inside and made myself lunch, ignoring the continuous buzzing of my phone. Messages poured in throughout the afternoon. Chloe alternated between rage, "You're going to regret this," and attempted manipulation, "Please, I need my car." How can you do this to your own sister? Dad sent curt demands to return the vehicle immediately. Even my aunt joined in, having heard about the situation through the family grapevine, calling me unreasonable and destructive. Only Mom's messages carried any hint of understanding. "I see why you're upset. Give everyone time to cool down." And Sarah's text provided pure support. "Yes. Stand your ground." They had this coming. Evening arrived without any sign of Noah's phone being returned. I picked up my son from his friend's house and made his favorite dinner, spaghetti with garlic bread. He asked about the new car in our garage, and I explained that Aunt Chloe was borrowing our space temporarily. "Did you get my phone back?" Hope shone in his eyes. "Working on it, baby. These things take time." That night, I slept with the car keys under my pillow, half expecting Chloe to show up with a spare set. But the house remained quiet, the sedan safely locked in my garage. Day 2 brought an escalation. Chloe's husband, Brandon, called, his tone diplomatic but firm. "Look, I understand you're upset about the phone situation," he began. "But Chloe really needs her car. She has appointments, commitments." "Noah really needed his phone," I shot back. "He has friends, social connections. Funny how necessity only matters when it affects adults. Can we arrange a trade? I'll personally go to Caleb's room, get the phone, and bring it to you. Then you give Chloe her keys back." Almost. Caleb brings the phone. Caleb apologizes. Chloe apologizes. Dad apologizes. Then the car goes back. Those are the terms, and they're non-negotiable. You're punishing Chloe for what Caleb did. Chloe laughed when Caleb stole from her nephew. Chloe told me I was overreacting. Chloe has enabled Caleb's entitled behavior his entire life. Yes, I'm holding her accountable for the environment she created and the choices she made. Brandon sighed heavily. "I'll talk to them." "You do that." Another day passed. Chloe posted cryptic messages on social media about betrayal and family drama. Not naming me directly, but making it obvious enough that mutual acquaintances started asking questions. I didn't respond publicly or privately. Just let her paint whatever narrative she needed. On day 3, Dad showed up at my house unannounced. I answered the door to find him standing on my porch, looking older and more tired than I remembered. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside, letting him enter. We stood in the living room, an awkward silence filling the space between us. "Noah's at school," I said eventually. "I came to see you." Dad ran a hand through his thinning hair. "Your mother says I need to apologize." "Do you think you need to apologize?" He shifted his weight from foot to foot, clearly uncomfortable. I didn't realize the phone meant so much. It seemed like an overreaction at the time because you decided it wasn't important. Without asking Noah how he felt, without considering what I'd sacrificed to buy it, without caring that your grandson was crying, you prioritized avoiding conflict over protecting a child. Caleb's a child, too. Caleb's 15. He's old enough to know that stealing is wrong. Noah is 10 and just wanted to have his birthday present. There's a difference between childish mistakes and entitled cruelty. Dad's face reddened slightly. I didn't handle it well. I should have said something. That's not an apology. I'm trying. No, you're explaining. There's a difference. An apology acknowledges harm and takes responsibility without justification. I crossed my arms, waiting. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in his expression. Maybe recognition, maybe resignation. I'm sorry, he said finally, the words coming out rough. I was wrong to dismiss your feelings and Noah's hurt. I should have supported you instead of criticizing you. You're doing an incredible job raising your son alone, and I haven't acknowledged that enough or helped when I should have. The apology surprised me with its sincerity. Some of the tension I'd been carrying in my shoulders loosened slightly. Thank you, I said quietly. That means more than you know. Will you give Chloe her car back now? When Caleb returns the phone and everyone apologizes. Same terms as before. Dad nodded slowly. I'll make sure it happens. He left shortly after, and I felt something like hope beginning to stir. Maybe consequences actually worked. Maybe standing firm produced results that accommodating never could. That evening, Chloe called. Not texted. Actually called, her voice tight but controlled. Fine, you win. Brandon will drive Caleb over tomorrow after school. He'll return the phone and apologize. I'll apologize too. Just please give me my car back. And the apology will be genuine, not sarcastic or dismissive. Yes. The word came out strangled, like it physically hurt her to say it. Okay. Tomorrow at 4, I'll have the keys ready. The next afternoon, I picked Noah up early from school, explaining that we had important visitors coming. He bounced with excitement at the possibility of getting his phone back, and I prayed this wouldn't somehow go wrong. Brandon's truck pulled up at exactly 4 o'clock. Caleb climbed out slowly, sludging toward my front door like he was walking to his execution. Chloe emerged from the passenger side, her expression stony. Brandon followed behind them, clearly there to ensure everyone behaved. I opened the door before they could knock. Noah stood beside me, trying to hide behind my leg despite being too old for that gesture. Caleb stood on my porch, holding the iPhone box, looking everywhere except at Noah. An uncomfortable silence stretched until Brandon cleared his throat meaningfully. I'm sorry I took your phone, Caleb mumbled toward his shoes. It was wrong. Look at him when you apologize, I instructed firmly. And say it like you mean it. Caleb's jaw clenched, but he raised his eyes to meet Noah's. I'm sorry I took your birthday present. It was wrong and I shouldn't have done it. Here's your phone back. He thrust the box toward Noah, who accepted it carefully, clutching it against his chest like something precious and fragile. Thank you, Noah said quietly. Chloe stepped forward, her lips pressed into a thin line. I'm sorry for laughing when Caleb took your phone. I should have stopped him and made him give it back immediately. I'm sorry for dismissing your feelings. The apology was stilted and clearly difficult for her, but it was there. Progress, even if imperfect. I appreciate that, I said, then looked at Noah. How do you feel, honey? Better. Noah turned the phone box over in his hands, examining it to make sure nothing was missing. Can I go set it up in my room? Go ahead. I'll be up in a few minutes. He disappeared upstairs, and I retrieved Chloe's car keys from where I'd left them on the entry table. The car is in my garage. It's completely undamaged, cleaned inside and out. You'll need to back it out carefully. The fit is tight. Chloe snatched the keys from my hand. I can't believe you did this. Over a phone. I can't believe you thought stealing from a 10-year-old at his birthday party was acceptable, but here we are. She turned and stalked toward my garage without another word. Brandon offered me an apologetic shrug before following her. Caleb trailed behind his parents, looking relieved to be leaving. I watched Chloe back the sedan out of my garage with jerky, aggressive movements. The car barely cleared the door frame on both sides. She peeled out of my driveway fast enough to leave faint rubber marks on the pavement. Well, Brandon said, still standing on my porch. That could have gone worse. Could it? I asked, genuinely curious. She's already planning to never speak to you again, if that counts as worse. Honestly, that might be an improvement for both of us. We've been pretending to have a close relationship for years while she uses me as a bank and emotional dumping ground. Maybe some distance will be healthy. Brandon studied me for a moment. For what it's worth, I don't think you were wrong. Caleb needed to face consequences, and Chloe needs to stop enabling him. I've been saying it for years. Then maybe say it louder. She might listen to you. He smiled sadly. She might, but probably not. Good luck with everything. I closed the door after he left and went upstairs to find Noah sitting on his bed. The phone powered on and already personalized with his favorite wallpaper. It works perfectly, he said, looking up at me with shining eyes. Thank you for getting it back, Mom. I sat beside him, pulling him into a hug. You're welcome, baby. I'm sorry it took so long and got so complicated. Why did Caleb take it in the first place? The question deserved an honest answer, even if the truth was complicated. Some people grow up never hearing no. They get everything they want whenever they want it, without earning it or appreciating it. So, they start thinking the world revolves around them and other people's feelings don't matter. Caleb's that way because nobody's ever taught him differently. Is he going to change now? I don't know. That depends on whether his parents decide to actually parent him or keep making excuses. Either way, it's not your problem. You just focus on being the kind, thoughtful person you already are. Noah nodded against my shoulder. Can I text my friends now? They've been waiting to add me to the group chat. Go ahead. I'll start dinner. I left him happily typing away and descended to the kitchen, feeling lighter than I had in days. Standing up to family was exhausting and uncomfortable, but watching my son's joy made every difficult moment worthwhile. Sarah called while I was chopping vegetables for stir-fry. Please tell me the rumors are true, she said immediately. Did you really take Chloe's car? I really did. And she had to apologize to get it back. Caleb apologized to Noah. Chloe apologized to both of us. Dad apologized to me yesterday. The car is back in Chloe's possession as of about an hour ago. You are my hero. Seriously, I want to be you when I grow up, and I'm 3 years older than you. I laughed, feeling genuine lightness bubble up. I'm not anyone's hero. I just got tired of being a doormat. That's exactly what makes you a hero. Do you know how many people stay doormats their entire lives because standing up is too hard? You drew a line, enforced consequences, and didn't back down even when everyone turned against you. That takes courage. It mostly took desperation. I couldn't watch Noah's face crumple like that and do nothing. Mama bear protecting her cub. Classic and beautiful. I'm proud of you. We talked for another 20 minutes while I cooked, Sarah filling me in on work gossip and normalcy that felt refreshing after days of family drama. By the time we hung up, dinner was ready and Noah was coming downstairs, still glued to his new phone, but smiling genuinely. The following weeks brought an interesting shift in family dynamics. Chloe made good on her threat to cut contact, which surprisingly felt like relief rather than loss. Without the obligation to constantly accommodate her needs and listen to her complaints, I had more time and energy for Noah and myself. Dad called occasionally, our conversations careful but warmer than they'd been before the incident. He started asking about Noah's interests and activities, making an effort to actually know his grandson rather than just occupy the same space occasionally. Mom invited us to lunch, just the 3 of us, without Chloe or Dad present. Over sandwiches at a cafe downtown, she confessed that she'd been watching me parent alone for years, admiring my strength, but never saying so. I should have spoken up at the birthday party, she said quietly. I should have defended Noah and you. I'm sorry I stayed silent. Thank you for saying that. Your father and I have been enabling Chloe for a long time. It's easier than dealing with her tantrums. But watching what happened with Caleb and Noah made me realize we're not helping her or her son by always smoothing things over. What changed your mind? Mom smiled sadly. You did. Watching you stand up for your child, even when it was hard, even when everyone criticized you. That showed me what real parenting looks like. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. The words settled warmly in my chest, filling spaces I hadn't realized were empty. Noah thrived with his phone, joining group chats with friends and feeling included in ways that had been impossible before. His confidence grew visibly, and his grades improved as homework group chats helped him stay organized and supported. 3 months after the birthday incident, Chloe sent a brief text. Caleb got suspended for taking another student's tablet. Brandon and I are looking into counseling for him. You were right about consequences. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. I'm sorry he's struggling. Let me know if you need anything. She never replied, but the olive branch extended felt important anyway. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something resembling a relationship. Maybe we wouldn't. Either way, I'd learned that protecting my child and enforcing boundaries mattered more than maintaining a false peace. Noah turned 11 the following year. His birthday party was smaller, just close friends and the family members who'd proven themselves trustworthy. No drama erupted. No presents got stolen. No tears were shed except happy ones when he blew out his candles. As I watched him laugh with friends in our backyard, phone in hand, snapping photos and videos to share later, I thought about how one moment of standing up had changed everything. Taking that car hadn't been about revenge or pettiness, despite what Chloe believed. It had been about teaching my son that his feelings mattered, that boundaries existed, that sometimes fighting back was necessary and right. The lesson served us both well. Noah learned to advocate for himself at school, to speak up when something felt wrong, to expect respect from the people around him. And I learned that being called dramatic or difficult was infinitely better than being a doormat. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone isn't wrapped in paper with a bow. Sometimes it's simply showing them their worth is worth fighting for. It was hard, really hard, but watching Noah thrive made every difficult moment worth it. Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family to protect yourself or someone you love? What happened? I'm curious to read your stories down in the comments.